All right, so some of the subjects that I'm about to discuss were going to pop up in the PC gaming part 2 of my OLED display review that I still need to put together for you guys. But I got in an argument with someone online today, and it made me realize that this next conversation here should probably be its own video. I just kind of want to do a reality check with you guys and have a heart-to-heart. I've actually been seeing the good old gamer do a lot of videos like this lately, and sometimes it feels like we're just preaching to deaf ears, but I got to bring this up from the point of view of monitors too, because it seems like people, again, just don't get how much so many of us have gotten caught up in this rat race to get new stuff that honestly isn't better. And this is coming from someone who across the room can tell the difference between 1440p and 4K, who when I saw a friend playing a game and I said, oh, you're playing it at about 90 hertz, I pinged it exactly where his frame rate was, between 144 and 60. Like, I have sensitive enough eyes, I can tell the difference. But that also means you should be able to tell when what you're paying for is just not worth the money. And even if you have the money to blow, that you should be accepting that you're blowing money, that you're not buying something that'll last a long time. An example I bring up a lot is just because something's called a Titan doesn't mean it should cost $2,500. They just painted it gold and put a sticker on it, people. It's not going to be the strongest graphics card probably in under a year. And anyone who paid $2,500 for that, I hope, was just rich, blew money, and I get it. It's 24 gigabytes. It's a powerful card. That's cool. But don't delude yourself into thinking that because it's called a Titan, because you spent $2,500, it's going to last any longer than any other high-end card. It's not. It's going to last a few years. There will be stronger cards in under 2 years that crush it in performance. You just paid $2,500 for a high-end card. And the same goes for a lot of the newest monitors here. Really the inspiration for what had me make this video. I'm going to switch over here now. Now, if you look at this screen here, you can see this is the type of display I'm talking about, frankly, that I think that TV is competing with. Now, obviously, screen size is its own discussion, but I'm talking about like-for-like technology, like-for-like manufacturing costs. This person became furious with me, from what I could tell, that I was suggesting that this wasn't a long-lasting purchase or worth this price. This is about the same price as an OLED TV I just got that is 120 hertz, adaptive sync, and he seemed to just freak out at the idea that, well, and it sounds like such a schoolyard conversation. Like, yours isn't better than mine. And it's like, well, why does it matter? I mean, I built a PC a few years ago, and then a few months later, my friend built a PC. Monitor costs had come down. He got a nicer IPS monitor than I had. I didn't freak out. But you know why I didn't freak out? Because I spent, a couple $100 on my monitor, the one I'm actually using right now in front of me. And I'm fine using that monitor and having nicer things come out. But when you delude yourself into paying this much money for something, it better be the best unless you have money to blow, right? And this was clearly a person who had convinced himself this was the best. But let's do a comparison here. And this is going to get to really the point I'm making. If we compare it to this OLED screen, right? The one that, let's just say they both cost $2,000. Just make it, because they go up and down, but they're basically the same. All right. One of them has an OLED panel. An OLED panel that is substantially newer technology, costs much more to make, and isn't basically just a glorified bigger version of IPS displays we've been making for a decade. This is much more expensive to produce, people. And it also comes with a built-in processor with smart apps, substantially better HDR capabilities. Like, it's not even close, the HDR difference between these two. Not even close. And it comes with 4 high-speed connections. So this thing's future-proof. You can hook up 2 consoles, a PC at once. It doesn't matter. This comes with one HDMI 2.0 and one DisplayPort 1.4. That's it. That's all they're giving you. 2 connections. And the point starts to, and let's also look at, the latency, 4 millisecond. This has a 1 millisecond delay at most. And even with the image processor turned on, as I showed in my review, it's near instant. It's fast as my TN display. And yet, why does this cost the same? It's not because it costs as much to make. And that's when the guy, and I'm not going to show the comments, but that's when the guy, or the forum, that's when the guy absolutely freaked out when I said, you guys understand, this costs $800 to make at most. He just, I bet yours only costs $100. He started freaking out, hurling insults. It was honestly sad. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. I understand, and I'll wait to replace the one on my desk. I'm certainly not getting something that big to put on my desk. I will wait for an OLED or something superior, which also might come in the next couple years, to replace it. But I'm not going to spend $2,100 on something that costs $800 to make. And the screen size difference, the point about the screen size that I bring up is it does cost more to make a bigger screen TV. Especially when you get over 20 inches, it starts to cost a lot more to add to the screen size. They have to make sure there's no defects across that entire panel. Even if the pixels are more spread out, that's a lot of space to not screw up when you're manufacturing. And yet LG is a very profitable company making plenty of money, and they're charging the same price as this. The same price. Do you think they're selling it at a loss? They're not. They're making probably a 5-10% profit on that. And yet it's, what? Yeah, 4 times the size of this. This is 4 times the size of this. Has a technology substantially a decade more advanced, has contrast ratios and response times more advanced, a built-in computer. This monitor, at most, probably costs $700 to $800 to make, and I would not be surprised if it was $500. And yet they're selling you this, the price of the newest, Ferrari of TVs, and people are buying it. And we need to have a heart-to-heart. You don't have to upgrade every year. And look at this. I knew I'd find this. Multiple people are saying they got a dead pixel. Acer's wiping their ass with people who buy this and think they're buying the newest technology for the next 10 years. You're not. You're not. They've just realized that people don't care if you go above 1440p, so the people who want to tell themselves they have the best will pay 3 times the money for something that costs $500 to make. And let's touch on everything else, because this whole thing is also really made hilarious by NVIDIA's BFGD initiative, which is basically just the milking you further initiative, right? The Imperium X costs $5,000 and is worse in every single way than that OLED display. Every single way. It has, Linus complained of ghosting. It has much inferior HDR, inferior response time. The BFGD concept is a joke. Don't fall for this rat race where these manufacturers are going to be forced to lower prices soon, because eventually TVs like this will be smaller. Probably in a year or two they'll make a 40-inch version, then a 32-inch version. These prices are going to come down, but don't let them keep going up because you have to tell yourself you bought the best thing. You didn't. Or that other 60 hertz OLED display that's 22 inches, Linus also just said looks good, but is really dumb because it's $5,000. It does not cost Asus $5,000 to make, I think it was the P something 22. It does not cost them that much to make that monitor, guys. It costs them probably $500, but they're selling it for $5,000 because idiots are buying it. You're like, I really don't want to insult people. I don't want to insult their choices, but we need to have a heart-to-heart about what's going on here. It's not just graphics cards. It's not just processors. it's going to be everything. If you guys keep insisting on buying new stuff that's not that much better. It's not 3 times better. This here is not 3 times better than what was, well, they're charging 5 times as much. It's not 5 times better. I can at least make the argument that because this is a new, because this literally is the only way to have perfect black levels and this good contrast, and because it comes with all those built-in smart apps and TV features, it's in its own league. And yet, it's starting to compete in price to performance with grossly inferior PC gaming products. And I'll do more videos about this type of stuff, but everything in the PC space is going to keep getting more expensive if everyone insists on buying products that really aren't much better every year. You don't have to upgrade every year. So, yeah. The last thing I'll say for this video is, and this was going to be part of the other one, is I really do think OLED is worth waiting for. And it's worth waiting for because it is that much better. This isn't some faked IPS display where they just turn off only 300 parts of the panel for you. So you have this blocky lighting thing, and then they say, no, it's advanced G-Sync HDR. This stuff will come down in price. Until then, I can't in good faith recommend anyone, unless you have the money to blow, but just don't delude yourself into what you're doing. You are blowing money, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Treat yourself. But don't think you're buying one of these 120 hertz G-Sync displays and it's going to be the greatest thing for years. It probably will. It's not the greatest thing now. Those displays are already better, and they're almost the same price. And it was just a cash grab at the end of last year. It was a 120 hertz PC Master Race cash grab. Until then, man, those $200 to $300 165 hertz and 144 hertz 1440p and 1080p monitors are really your best bet by far, because they're a tenth the price, and your gaming experience is probably going to be about the same. In fact, they'll probably have less input lag than these G-Sync monitors here. So I just wanted to have that heart-to-heart. I didn't mean to attack anyone who's bought a monitor like this, or Linus. I have no problem with Linus Tech Tips. I just want to bring up when he says, I'm in gaming heaven. Guys, don't spend $5,000 on something worse than that. Don't fall for it. Just because they slap a gaming, sticker on it and put Imperium X, it's not actually better than what you can get for cheaper in other places, and these prices are going to come down quickly soon, because eventually someone's going to enter the space and start making cheaper monitors. And I don't think you want to be the one left holding the bag when you have a monitor that someone else is making for $500 a year later that you paid over $2,000 for. All right, thank you. Like, subscribe, share, support me on Patreon if you like the work I do. Thank you.